Howdy howdy, it's Michael from Thermaltake Australia, and today we're gonna rank every single thing you put into your PC in this here tier list. We're talking ease of install, aesthetics, likelihood of being a cool guy if the PC part were to come to life. We're really going to run the gamut today. And what better way to kick things off than in the order in which I would build a PC. So starting with the CPU, A tier. Compared to the other parts, this boy just kind of drops into place. It even tells you what way it goes into the socket, so you can't really get it wrong. It just kind of clips into place all snug. No dramas here, A tier. Next up, RAM, S tier. This one is even easier. It just clips into place. Literally anyone can do this. It's actually impressive if you manage to mess it up, and the sound it makes when it goes in is like, good stuff. Next, we got the M.2, and I think this has got to be in the B tier. Because in terms of installation, it's easy enough, it's so slick and clean, but that screw is where it gets let down. Maybe it's just me, but I hate that thing with a passion, so what was a lock-in for S tier has now slipped down to B tier, and I'm not even sorry. Next up, motherboard. C tier. It's fine. You drop it in and screw in the holes. It's a little fiddly, but not especially difficult. I think it loses points here because I'm not particularly impressed by the way these things look. It's always been practicality over aesthetics when it comes to motherboards, so I don't have a whole lot to say on the matter. They're just mid. Next, we got power supply. Again, C tier. Out of all my rankings, this is the one I am most confident in, the one I will lay down and die for, because if C tier represents the most mediocre, shrug your shoulders PC parts, then power supplies are the ruler of this realm. Nobody's neglected more than the PSU. I honestly feel bad for the thing. It's the Millhouse of the PC world. So it's here because most of the time it's hassle-free, but managing those cables, it's a no from me, dog. Next up, all-in-one. And this one hurts because I'm in amongst the elitist boys that take the all-in-one over an air cooler every single day of the week. But gosh darn if these things don't suck to install, D tier. Screwing the fans on the radiator is fine, but the process of securing it in your case, especially if it's a top mount, can go die in a hole. The water block isn't that fun either, and depending on the brand, things can get a little bit fiddly. Either way, it's big, it's bulky, and you're left with a bunch of cables to plug in, and goodness knows where they go. It's time for the air cooler. If we're talking a middle-of-the-range air cooler that your average consumer would buy, C tier. It's not fun, but it's not complicated. Much like the motherboard, it just kind of goes in without any fanfare or great difficulty. I have nothing witty to say about this one. Alright, up next, storage. I'm lumping mechanical hard drives and SSDs here into the same category because the process is pretty much the same, and they're going in the B tier. They're pretty straightforward. I wish every part were like these, to be honest. You just secure them into place and plug them in, and that's all. Late in a build though, they can kind of get in the way, and some mechanical drive trays can get a little bit fiddly, so this is a nice snug place for it on the list to go. You can kind of hang out at the top of the list with the cooler, older boys, but we all know you're still a bit of a pleb. Alright, fans. Say it with me now. C tier. Installing these things is fine, but let's be real here, no one enjoys it. Like, it's simple enough, but where it loses major points is that these things are suspect number one when it comes to cable management nightmares, especially if they are of the ARGB variety. I find them to be constantly in the way, and locating an aesthetically pleasing place on the motherboard to plug them in is nigh on impossible. Fans, second only to the PSU, is as average as you get, so get comfy in the C tier, spinny boys, because you're not going anywhere for a long time. Finally, it's the last piece of major hardware that goes in your case. We're talking the GPU, and that's going smack bang in the B tier. Like the M.2, this is so close to being higher because its ease of install and aesthetics are right up there, but unscrewing the brackets, big thumbs down. But honestly, that is my only gripe with what is otherwise a super easy installation, so B tier it goes. Well, Michael, I hear you saying as you continue to snack on those hot Cheetos with increasingly poor posture, you've been pretty fair up until now. Well, strap in, my friend, because now we're talking peripherals, and things are going to start getting a little bit spicy. Mouse and keyboard, D tier. Plugging these things in is the worst, because much like portable USBs, you gotta flip them around 700 times before they go in correctly. In fact, speaking of, let's throw USBs here too, because I hate both of you equally. Not to mention they plug in at the back of the case, so they're also incredibly annoying to get to. How are we in 2022 and there is still no solution for the hellspawn that is mouse and keyboard plugins? It deserves to be banished to the shadow realm right next to printers. And if those at Big USB are watching this and want to know how it's done, look no further than HDMI Cables, S tier. These are the complete inverse, a cable that can only go in one way. It's distinct, it's easy, it rarely gets all tangled up, and I just don't have to think about it. That's the way it should be. Much in the same regard, Ethernet cable, A tier. This has almost the exact same benefits, and if anything, it gets a bonus point because the cable often comes in weird colors for some reason. But that bonus point is then taken away because unplugging it can get a little fiddly as it's a clip. And speaking of fiddly unplugging, here it is boys, our first F tier, DVI cables. Straight to the stinky zone with you. If you wanted proof followers of Satan walk among us, look no further than the invention of the DVI cable. Why am I plugging in a cable and then once it's in, I'm further securing it by screwing it in twice? Has that extra security ever been a point of difference? I think I've collectively lost like 4 minutes of my life plugging and unplugging DVI cables. Not to mention they always feel cheap and plasticky. The industry moving away from these things was one of the best things to happen in the late 2000s. But Uno reverse card alert, what if I told you the thing they replaced it with is somehow worse? DisplayPort, f you, F tier. Combining almost all the worst traits of the cables we've discussed thus far, the DisplayPort requires you to play the USB flippy game when plugging it in, and the fiddly release clip game when unplugging it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. Combined with the fact monitors are also starting to place the input on the underside of the monitor, these things have gone from frustrating to a living nightmare to deal with, and I never want to see another one again. So this is the final result. Here is the completed tier list, and I gotta say, for as riled up as I got there, I'm pretty happy with the positions of everything, but I'd love to know what you think. So if you disagree or think I forgot anything, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Otherwise, that's it from me. Thanks for watching the video, and be sure to leave it a like if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, dinging the bell to be notified each and every time we upload. And while you're still here, feel free to watch either of these two Thermaltake videos floating somewhere on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.